In a quiet village, there was an old school where Mr. Thomas taught. He was an honest, wise, and experienced teacher. Even though he was nearly 70 years old, he still taught his students with the same passion and dedication. At this school, there were two talented students, Daniel and Lucas. Daniel was extremely hardworking. He spent every hour memorizing books, studying with great effort, and believing that hard work was the only key to success. Lucas, on the other hand, was different. He believed that hard work alone wasn't enough. You also needed to think smart and use the right strategy. But there was one big difference between the two. Daniel came from a middle-class family, and his only job was to study. Lucas was the son of a poor farmer and worked in the fields with his father every day. Lucas's father, Mr. Clark, worked hard in the hot sun all day, but still struggled to feed his family. One evening, Lucas returned home after working in the fields. He was tired and hungry, but he still sat under a dim kerosene lamp and opened his books. His father, frustrated, said, "Why are you wasting time with those books? Look at our life. We're poor. What good will studying do for you?" Lucas held back his tears and quietly replied, "Dad, I want to study. I know we're poor, but if I don't study, we'll always be poor." His father sighed deeply. "You don't understand, Lucas. Education is for the rich. How will I even pay for your studies?" With a trembling voice, Lucas said, "I'm not studying for money, Dad. I'm studying for a better life for all of us." His father looked at him in silence. That night, Lucas didn't sleep. He wiped away his tears and continued studying. He had little time, but big dreams. One day, Mr. Thomas called both boys and said, "This is my final test for you both. You have a difficult task ahead." They listened closely. "You must go to the top of the mountain and bring me a special flower. The one who brings it back first will win." Both boys agreed. The next morning, Daniel ran as fast as he could. He climbed the steep mountain, sweating and struggling, but he didn't stop. Lucas, however, paused to think. Is there a smarter way to reach the top? He wondered. He noticed an old man sitting nearby and asked, "Sir, is there a better path to the top of the mountain?" The old man smiled and said, "Yes, there's a narrow trail behind the mountain. It's longer, but much easier to climb." Lucas followed the old man's advice. He saved his energy and used his intelligence to reach the top. Daniel, meanwhile, kept pushing through the difficult climb. His body ached, but he didn't stop. Eventually, Daniel reached the top, but to his surprise, Lucas was already on his way down with the flower. Daniel was speechless. "How is this possible?" he asked himself. "I worked so hard." Back at the school, both students stood before Mr. Thomas with their flowers. The teacher smiled and said, "Daniel, you worked very hard, but you didn't look for a better way. You believed that the more you suffered, the more successful you'd be. But life isn't just about hard work. It's also about smart work." Then he turned to Lucas and said, "Lucas, you used your intelligence wisely. But remember always, looking for shortcuts isn't right either. Smart work only leads to true success when it's combined with hard work." Tears filled Daniel's eyes. "I understand now, sir. Hard work alone isn't enough. We need the right strategy too." Lucas lowered his head and said, "And I've learned that success doesn't come without real effort. The easiest path isn't always the best." The teacher placed his hands on their heads. "This lesson will guide you for life," he said. "To succeed, you must not only work hard, but also work smart. And remember, intelligence without effort never brings lasting success." Many years later, Daniel became a great scientist. He learned to balance hard work with smart thinking. Lucas became a successful entrepreneur. He used both intelligence and hard work to achieve his dreams. One day, they returned to visit their old teacher. Mr. Thomas was now very old, but his face was glowing with pride. Both men bowed before him and said together, "Sir, your final test changed our lives." Tears filled Mr. Thomas's eyes. "I always knew you would become great men, because the real secret to success is simple balance. The perfect mix of hard work and intelligence." Looking at their teacher's smiling face, both Daniel and Lucas were filled with emotion. Lessons from the story. Hard work is valuable, but without smart thinking, success takes longer. Always taking shortcuts is not wise real. Success needs effort. Success without effort doesn't last. To truly succeed, you need both hard work and intelligence.